Okay. Okay. Thank you for your patience. I'm Mike Morrow. I'm the president of the St. John's Center of the RASC, and we have lots of people online and lots of people in the room, and so thank you all. We have an interesting meeting, lots of people presenting today, so I'm going to start with an acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We would also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Inutuavut, and the Innu of Nitassinan and their ancestors as the original people of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. So thank you all for being here. And hopefully you can see the screen with the agenda on it there. Doug's going to talk about something we did last week up in Glovertown, and then we'll have some member presentations and then some observation reports. So the next meeting, we're quite lucky. I saw Bethany Downer at a conference a couple weeks ago, and she agreed. Some of you may know who Bethany Downer is, but she's currently working with the European Space Agency doing basically communications, handling images that they make public from Hubble and James Webb. And she gave a really great talk. I know everybody will really enjoy that, and we're very lucky. She's very busy, but she's agreed that she could meet with us next month. And so it'd be nice if we tried to have as much of an in-person presence as possible for that meeting. We'll still be hybrid, but be nice to have a good audience for her because she is making some time for us. She'll be here in person. So she's actually working out of St. John's. She was working in Europe, but she's now working remotely, at least for now. If you're planning to make a submission to the RASC calendar, that deadline is coming up in less than a month. It may be of interest. We've interacted with Ashley Brauweiler and Eddie Shear, the two meteorologists on CBC and NTV, and Randy has sent them copies of the Night Sky Almanac to sort of thank them for, profiling us, also to give them something they can look up. There's a couple of things coming up. There's a lunar eclipse March 14th. The maximum is going to be at 4:28 a.m. Let me know how that goes. But whoever observes that, there's going to be a partial solar eclipse, but it's pretty good. It's going to be like 88% or pretty close. Over 80 anyways. March 29th, it's going to start at just at sunrise and end at 9 o'clock, roughly a little before. And the Geo Center is planning to do something, so we'll probably be there, and there may even be a little bit going on afterwards. So stay tuned. We're going to hear some more about that. And while we're on the Geo Center, we've been interacting with them. They Kate Murphy at the Geo Center put together a public engagement grant, internal for Memorial, and with us as the public partner, and that was funded. And so what's going to happen is that Our Future in Space exhibit at the end of the downstairs series of exhibits is going to get redone with some stuff about Memorial researchers, but also highlighting us. And one of the things that's going to happen is that the Northcott telescope, which was donated to this center from, it was the telescope that belonged to Ruth Northcott, who was an RASC president in the 60s, I guess. It came to this center in 1971. That's going to be put into a plexiglass display case with an exhibit that's sort of highlighting the center, and we already have some observations running on a loop there. We'll probably update that, and there'll be some display stuff. And I'm hoping that Kate will be able to talk to us, come to our meeting and tell us about the plans at the April meeting. So I just mentioned that because this came up here. And this weekend on Sunday, there's going to be a workshop in a town hall about citizen science. So that's, if anybody wants that link, they can contact me, or Marcellus, he has it as well. Oh, and I also posted it on the RASC NL Talk chat, so you can get the link off there to register. So that looks like it'll be interesting. And the astro imaging contest is open. It's going to close the end of next month. So the guidelines are here. They're also on the website. I'm not going to go through them all again, but we have 4 categories. And you submit the photos to photos@stjohnsrasc.ca with an appropriate subject line. And the way that we're going to make the photos available for people to look at will be using essentially the same sort of thing as the web interface for, so you're going to have to, if you're not using the web interface for the photo contest, you'll have to use the web interface. It'll be a different name, but it's also groups.io. But the voting, I think, will be the same as it was last time using, I think I used Google Forms. There is a way to do voting in the groups.io. I'll take a look at that and see if that's easier or not. So we have some visitors. Welcome. Shivani and Tyler. Ty. Okay. I know Tyler too, so that's confusing. Okay, so Shivani and Ty, welcome. And and I think we might have some visitors on line as well. Hi, so Shaziana, welcome, and thank you for joining us. And I think most of the others are members, but if you're not, the meetings are open to everybody, of course, but there are some benefits to joining, and one of them is the member chat group I've just talked about. It's a you have to be a member to join that. It's very good for mentorship and discussion and sharing observations and alerts. There's some publications, some free planetarium shows, equipment rentals, so you can join through the RASC website, and members get a monthly bulletin, and I think anybody can sign up for the weekly newsletter. So I'm going to ask Doug to come up now and talk about a little adventure we did last week. And so just use the mouse there, and
okay,
you're all set.
good evening all. So on short notice, about a couple weeks ago, we got a message from David Saunders of Terra Nova National Park, and they were inviting us to join with them at the Glovertown Winter Carnival for a public observing session. And that session took place on the 12th, so last week. And how do I move this?
Just the little You can either use the arrows, no, not that keyboard.
Okay.
You can either use
Sorry.
the.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
Or you can use the scroll.
No, I'm good with that. That's great. So, myself and Gary Diamond and Mike Morrow volunteered to go out, and Terra Nova National Park put us up for the night. So we drove out on the 12th, the day of the 12th, rested a bit, and then went to Penn Diamond Memorial Park in Glovertown for an observing session. And just thanks to the Terra Nova National Park for hosting us for that event. So we used 8-inch Dobsonians. They were Skywatcher Dobsonians, which were all owned by Terra Nova National Park. And they were a joy to use. I actually have never used a Dobsonian telescope. I was all set to use one actually, for a full observing session out in Terra Nova there in the summer, but we were rained out. Anyway, so they were really good. And of course, I just spoke about everything on this this slide here, with the exception of one of the reasons for us to go out there and have a public observing session was that it would promote the dark sky preserve and also astronomy in the Glovertown area. This is the poster professionally prepared by Terra Nova National Park. Just describing it. And it was from 6:30 to 8:30. So it was 2 hours of -15-degree weather. So it was intense. We were all very heavily dressed, like I will say the Michelin Man. And 2 hours was as much as I think we could all take. This is the site. So if you go into Glovertown, it's about 15 kilometers from the park. And in this gray area here, I think we were set up in this little area. And next to us was the Glovertown Recreational Complex, so I guess the arena. A little bit of light pollution coming from there. There are some wall packs. These are lights that shine sideways. But overall, the area was quite good for observing. At the site was Yolanda, Tara, Kathy, and David, all Terra Nova National Park employees. We had the 3 telescopes, and the objects we observed was the full moon, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Pleiades, Orion Nebula. -15 degrees, patchy cloud. For the most part, it was good. Sometimes you had to wait for a cloud to move away from something to see it. One thing I noticed actually, none of the equipment fogged over. I don't know, maybe at -15 it doesn't fog over.
I was having a little trouble with one.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I was lucky, and maybe Gary yourself.
No problem.
No fog at all. There were 3 of us out there certified to use a green laser, and we all had our papers and everything. But it was so cold, the laser wouldn't work. I mean, it would shine on the ground, but as soon as you point it up, it would just fade out. So
there's no moisture in the air, I guess, is that why you can't see the beam, I guess.
Would that be it? So cold too. Yeah.
Probably also reason your optics didn't fog up.
Okay.
It was just too dry.
Yeah.
Too dry. Well, interesting. And we had about 12 members of the public, which doesn't sound like a lot. However, with so few people and so many scopes, they got a good chance to look at things for a good long time, which worked out pretty good. And here's the site, a nice little gazebo there, and you can see the stars above. It was a pretty good site. And Mike was at this telescope, Gary here, and I was just a bit off to the right. And one thing that Mike made sure of, that we had a small stepladder for the smaller participants. And there's Gary and Dave Saunders working on one there now. And that's me with an observer. Well, you know, I don't normally use these optical sites. I normally use like a red dot finder or Telerad. And boy, they were okay on the Skywatcher telescopes. Must have been a fair size, and it was really easy to point the scopes around, with the exception of when you're looking up high, you had to do a bit of a yoga move to get underneath it and see. You know, so you had maybe a bit of flexibility there. And it was so cold that Gary was starting to despair. He's getting very wispy there. And here he is almost gone. And some sky, some cloud. Yeah. And again, thanks to Terranova National Park for bringing this out. And thanks also to Randy Dodge. Randy arranged for all the documentation for our green laser use. Unfortunately, we did not get a chance to use them. And any questions? Yes, a tie. Ah, so you know, if you ever go to a presentation, someone has a red laser pointing at the blackboard. A green laser is the same thing, only green. And when you point it at the sky, and if it's not minus 15 degrees Celsius and dry, you'll actually see the laser beam going up to, it's like a big long pointer. And it's great for giving a tour of constellations and anything you want to point out in the sky. But you have to use one of these things, you have to be certified through the society, and you have to be insured, and you have to have two people, one on the laser, one looking for airplanes, because you can't point in the proximity of anything flying around.
Or you'll be $100,000 in 5 years in jail.
Yes, yes, persona non grata within the center as well.
There were actually 2 telescopes for the parks and one was mine.
Oh, one was yours. Oh, there you go. Well, not as much kudos to the park, actually.
Well, there's still pretty big kudos. Yeah, one
Yeah.
they belonged to the library, and that was part of.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of the deal, is they were hoping a lot of people would come and learn how to use it.
I didn't mention that. So like the third one that the park has was at the library.
No, they only have 2.
They have 2. There you go. So I've been fact checked, and what? Thank you very much.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the one that was in the big red bag
Yeah.
was the library,
Ah, okay. Yeah.
which
So
I think was the one you were using.
so the library in Glovertown is using one of the scopes from Terranova National Park, and people out in Glovertown can actually sign it out, which is pretty fabulous for such a expensive and very nice piece of equipment to use. Thank you.
Good, well, thank you very much.
Okay, so the next part is our member presentation. So Stu's going to talk about her observatory. I think later on I got the right name I think it was supposed to be Sue's Observatory the first year or something, but
Yeah, it's an update in fact.
and
Should
then
also probably be Sue Hart and Tim Caruk. I wasn't
Okay.
sure Tim was going to be here tonight, so I'll do the first bit and then he's going to take over. I think.
okay, and then John Peddle
Right?
is going to talk about a project he's doing online, and then Randy will talk about smart eyepieces. So I will just come on up. You can either advance the slides with the wheel or by using the arrow.
That one? Okay.
Okay, so
ROL.
there you are. See, I got that part right.
Yeah. So what do you do this way? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there's
Oh, there's
if
a-
you want a
okay,
pointer,
Oh, yeah.
there.
Okay.
It's 1 click is the red, 2
Okay.
clicks is UV.
Oh, okay, that's the one. Okay, well, hi, I'm Sue Hart and Tim Caruk. We do a lot of observing together in this observatory, so it makes sense that Tim's going to do some stuff on the telescopes, I think probably the equipment side. But I mean, roughly speaking, I thought this talk could be divided into structure and equipment. So since I was involved in building the observatory and building the deck for it, I thought I'd go first and talk about that. And then maybe Tim can carry on and talk a bit more about the equipment, the
Okay.
telescopes, because that's his expertise.
Okay.
So first of all, I just thought maybe I would talk about the design of it. And I don't want to go on too long about this. I did a presentation on this last year. But I know we have some guests here, new members, and just as a refresher as well. I mean, essentially my house is quite high up on a hill. It's on a slope. And the only way I could actually build an observatory would be to have it as an extension to the existing deck, which is 6 feet off the ground with a slope underneath. So clearly stability was the essence of, that was the most important thing. Stability in terms of not a not a lot of wobbling about when you actually walk on the deck floor. And also I realized just from many people's input from the RASC club and reading a lot about it, that it was very important to get this bit right, which is essentially the pier that's going to hold the telescope on the top. So just to go on to what it looks like underneath, am I supposed to stand anywhere specific here? No, okay. So this is what it looks like underneath, and you can see that, I mean, the contractor was really good. I think.
People online won't see the red dots.
Okay, they won't see the red dot?
So you
Okay.
could use the mouse.
Well,
Right.
okay. Okay, I'll just,
They'll figure it out.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to use it very much. It's only room
Yeah.
for this one. But you can see that this is the pier here. So it's essentially a big concrete pillar. It's about 12 inches in diameter, and it's sunk down 4.5 feet. The contractor suggested this inner square as well of concrete, thanks to him, of concrete foundations. They also go down 4 feet. So there's one there, there's two at the back. And then of course, there's all these supports around it. So also the bracing here, he did some bracing on the outside. So that's essentially, I thought that was a pretty stable design. And the pier seemed to be okay, but that's another story. Later on, we found something that was a bit odd, but it turns out it's okay. So, okay, it was built in 23, so 24 was basically the first year of using it. And I think it was a pretty good, it's worked out quite well, hasn't it?
I'd say it's one of the nicest observatories I've ever seen, and it's really well designed.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place to go and come, and it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, no, it's worked out quite well because, yeah, the observatory's there and I try and maintain that. And I've seen some great things, as I say, really, because of Tim's help, he knows a lot more than I do about telescope. But anyway, so the first thing I suppose I should talk about in terms of developments after it was finally finished in just before Christmas 23-24, no, 22-23 actually. Okay. Was I was looking out one morning, my bedroom window overlooks the observatory, and I looked down and I thought, that doesn't look right. And there's a kind of gap in the top, black. And I thought, oh my God, the actual aperture doors are actually open. And I'm sorry, I realized I've missed actually some pictures here. There we go. Okay, that gives you a bit more an idea of what the observatory looks like. This was when the contractor was fitting the wall, the circular walls, and you can see the wheels on the top, and then that's the finished version. And you can see just about the observatory apertures at the top. You can also see the extension here built onto the old deck, which becomes relevant a little later in the talk. So yeah, there I was looking down and I thought, whoa, something's really wrong with this. It was after a windy storm that night. So sure enough, the rain had got in really badly. The telescope was wet. I think Chris knows all about this issue, right? Anyway, this is where Tim kind of comes into the story, mainly because he was the one who came and actually dried the telescope out and got everything working again. And in the meantime, through RASC talk, people were offering different solutions. And in fact, it was Chris who suggested what I actually did in the end, which was a bungee fix, basically, which is the next couple of, so what happened was, I think I need to go on to the other one, actually. No, where is it? Okay, there's one missing, I think. But essentially, what I did, following on from Chris's suggestion, was do a bungee cord fix from the top door down to the wall here. And so provided I keep that hooked in when I leave the observatory, the aperture doors don't open. So in fact, any subsequent windstorms or rainstorm has been okay. It hasn't let any rain in at all. So that was good. You can see also I did the same here as well, sorry, on the front aperture door too, to stop that from actually opening. So both doors, when I leave it now, are fixed in place. So that was the first development that took some doing. And then after that, a bit later, we realized that the pier, the hole around the pier had changed shape somehow. Do you remember that? It was kind of alarming. It was almost like the pier had...
Yeah, it looked like possibly the deck shifted a bit so that the pier was coming in contact with the pier. The deck was coming in contact with it, so it might have some effect on the angle of the pier.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so we had it fixed by having the wood cut around the pier. and
Yeah,
It's working very
yeah.
well.
And so when the contractor looked at it, I mean, because I was afraid that actually the pier was moving down the hill because I hadn't had the retainer wall built by that time, which I had before, because this was a raised garden. The terrain this observatory's on was a raised vegetable garden, actually. But anyway, so I was a bit concerned. I'm thinking, well, you know, what else could we have done? How is it that it's moving? But anyway, it turns out, so the contractor said, is that the old deck that the new deck is fixed onto is actually collapsing. It is quite old. And the corner of it was sort of sloping down like this. And that was pulling on the join between the new and the old deck. So the answer was to brace all the parts of the old deck to stop that from collapsing anymore. And so we've braced, you know, the joint area as well. So now in spring, that's another job to rebuild the old deck. So essentially, these are things that happen, I guess, partly because of the way the observatory is. It's actually on a slope and it's high up. So that's a bit of a challenge. But I think...
So your pier hadn't actually.
No, I don't think it has. It looked like it had because because the wood was distorting, and that was the pressure from the old deck collapsing had actually had an effect on the floor of the observatory. Now, I mean, that's what the contractor thinks, and I'm hoping he's right. But I mean, he just said, I can't imagine it moving.
Yeah,
They put it down so deeply.
Yeah, her wedge has a level indicator on the wedge, and it doesn't appear to have shifted any. So perhaps it was just the deck moving.
Well, I hope it was, because
yeah.
I would be very disappointed if the pier had moved, because that was really the key area that I was trying to fix. You know, when I helped the contractor design it. So that's probably all the things I can think of in terms of structural challenges, if you like. But I mean, the actual performance of it has been pretty good, don't you think?
It's been fantastic, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Right. So yeah, the telescope she has is a Celestron Evolution 9.25.
Yeah, so there are two telescopes lines.
There are. Yeah. Why isn't this moving? Have I got this wrong?
Move the mouse down a bit.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, just to sort of tell the story, this was the original piece of equipment, which was an 8SE. And you can see the wedge now. So it was designed to be, you know, to track, but there were problems with it.
Yeah, there was some issues with the drive, the Altasmas drive system. It was a bearing that actually, I took it apart myself and to find out what was wrong with it. And there was a flaw, I guess, in those scopes where you can have problems with the bearing in the Altasmas axis, and then you have the scope actually starts to shift and doesn't stay on track. So she decided to upgrade her telescope to a better mount and a better scope as well.
Which is this one.
And what she got is here is a Celestron Evolution 9.25 scope. It's a very solid mount. It has clutches, so you can move it without you know, so you can move it as well, like a Dobsonian if you like. But it as well, it's a great scope. It's a wonderful tubus only, very nice optics. It's less grain design, a longer telescope with better designed optics than most FDCs. Very sharp views. It's excellent to see to look through. Yeah, and
It works with Sky Portal. You
Yeah.
probably know the app, do you? The Celestron app.
yeah, the
So
app.
it's-
Yeah.
yeah.
This is actually a Wi-Fi telescope as well. It communicates with Wi-Fi to an app or in Android or the iPad, and Android or the Celestron has a special planetarium app similar to Stellarium that allows you to track objects. So when you open the app, you actually have a picture of the sky, and if you want to go somewhere, you just click press the screen and click go to, and the scope will automatically go to it. It's really a wonderful thing to use. It's really magical, very magical. And one challenge that there is with this scope is that first, of course, you have to align the scope with the stars in the sky. So you can go through a routine and find certain stars and just use the telescope, but Sue decided to buy what was called a Star Sense, which is a camera that fits on the back of the telescope.
Actually, just to correct you for a minute,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. The 8SE, when I decided to upgrade it, I was going to upgrade to the Evolution, this Next Star Evolution 8-inch, because it had special gears, what are they called, worm gears or something,
Yeah.
instead of the ordinary kind, whose name I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah, this bird.
Yeah, and also it had star sense incorporated in it, this one. So when I ran this past him, he said, well, you know what, if you forget the star sense, because you might not need it anyway in an observatory, he said, why don't you get the 925, because the optics are better and
Yeah.
the gears are better and all that stuff. So I went with that, thinking, oh, a pity about the star sense. Anyway, then I got an email from Astronomy Plus in Quebec saying, oh, by the way, this particular scope, the 925, has a special with it, so you can actually get star sense free. So I ended up getting star sense and this scope, which actually ended up quite well. So I didn't buy it, what I'm trying to say. I had star
Yeah.
sense free
So if I-
with this scope.
Like a big reduction, it's around $700 or $800.
It was a really good free gift, I thought.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Mention what starts into.
yeah, I'll
Yes.
talk about that, yeah.
Yeah.
So right here, we mounted it on these two screws here at the back of the telescope right here.
Yeah,
It's actually not in the picture here,
no,
but what it is it's a CCD imaging or a CMOS imaging camera that actually takes pictures of the sky and integrates with the app, with the Sky Portal app. And so what it does is that when you activate it, it looks at the sky and takes a picture of the sky, and then it resolves the plates of the sky, and it figures out where it is in the sky automatically. So what you need to do is basically just point.
identified 81 stars or something, doesn't it? You know, then
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
homes in on, presumably
Yeah.
on one of them. I don't quite
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, first it looks at the stars, it takes a picture of the sky,
Yeah.
and then it actually integrates that into the plates that are inside the memory.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant shut up.
How is the EVO's internal battery liking the outdoors 24/7?
Okay, good question. I'll talk about that. Okay, yeah, well, it does work fairly well, I guess, but we Sue charges her scope before we use it, and
Yeah,
it
I'll
does
plug it in.
work fairly well. Yeah, but there was some issues actually. There was some issues communicating with the
Yeah,
app, and so I upgraded the firmware inside her
yeah.
Star Sense and her Evolution mount, and so far it's corrected a lot of the issues,
Yeah.
the communication issues, and hopefully we're going to try it again and see if it does work better. But it seems to
Waiting
be.
for a clear night, aren't we, really, to
Yeah,
test
yeah,
that,
very much
because
so.
hopefully the firmware will cure it. And in the meantime, the plan in terms of an ongoing project is, again, Tim's offered to fix this 8SE. We have I did send for a new motor, actually, so I've got that from an American retailer. So we're thinking if we fix the SE, then that will be a spare telescope, and we can also use the Star Sense camera on that, because you can move the camera from one scope
right.
to the other.
And
I mean, it would be nice for my place, because the way my house is, I can't see the north, can't see Polaris, for example. So this 8SE, when it's fixed in the summer, I guess it'll be now, because we can't really use it in this weather. But we could then we can have a look at the Big Dipper and all the targets there.
Just she's facing south, so she can't see the northern part of the sky. So
there you go.
just setting up the old SE old front will allow us
Yeah.
to see the rest of the sky, which is
Or a dark sky site, maybe
Yeah.
Butterpot in
Very
the
useful,
future.
yeah.
I think
And,
that's all we
yeah, and did you see any pictures?
anything else? Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, there's
Oh, sorry. Yes, of course. I knew there was something missing.
yeah, it
Okay.
happened to be a very stable
Yes.
night, really stable.
That was, yeah,
Just
pretty good.
yeah.
And the last one, yeah,
Question,
just
okay.
to show you about some pictures. Why isn't that one coming on?
I'll be on the questions.
Oh, okay. So it happened to be a very, very stable night. One of the clearest I've ever seen. I could just look at Jupiter and see it, and look straight at it and see all the detail. It was just a
It
spectacular
was
sight,
amazing.
especially through
Yeah.
that telescope that she has. It's such a clear image. And so I used my Player One UMSC 585 IMX 585 sensor and took this image of Jupiter here on that night. I'm not sure what night it was. Is there a date?
I've got it on here somewhere.
Saturday.
January the 18th. It says January the 18th.
January 18th. Okay, it was just a fantastic.
So,
it was really.
Is the other one on there, Mike? Do you know? So do I press I can't get it on this. So do I press this up or down? Down. logical.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
picture of
that's
the
the
core
first,
of,
that's the last picture,
core of N42.
that was in February, I think.
Yeah, you see a lot of detail. You can see these are,
February the 2nd, that was, yeah.
and actually see some globules here that I've known that this is a star forming inside this one. And there's also another one near the back here. I think it's around here somewhere. There's actually a disc. If you have enough resolution, you can see a little disc of a star formation in the back of the nebula. So yeah, it's for a fair amount of detail. It was a lot of fun to acquire the image. Yeah, so.
Okay, I think that's it. Oh,
So,
Yeah.
I know dew is a real problem for me.
Yeah.
And I've had a dew shield on mine still for the last 2 days. In fact, I haven't taken it off. So, what are you guys doing to handle the dew? Because you've got a.
Yeah, okay.
plug on your scope.
Yeah. I actually did install the dew heater on the front of our telescope,
yeah.
but we haven't used it yet. We haven't connected that up yet. We're slowly like getting everything together and getting things working.
I've got a dew controller somewhere in that box,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
but it just, we
Yeah.
haven't connected it up yet.
But yeah, so it's helpful. I guess it will be helpful, but we haven't had too much issue with dew, especially if it's a bit
Actually,
drier and a bit windy. It tends not to dew up as much. So,
Well, it's been so cold as well, as you said, you know.
okay.
Oh,
You go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the concrete pier, so
Yeah.
it's quite tall above the ground.
about
Does
6
it-
feet.
Does it like shake at all?
Not really. I don't
No,
think we've
no,
noticed
it's-
it at all,
it's
have we?
very, very solid,
No,
very
it's very solid.
And the mount itself, the evolution mount is surprisingly solid as well. And since it's not even connected, you know, that's the idea of isolating it from the deck so that it doesn't shake. That's one of the key.
That was the key thing that I was trying to do, and it took me a while to figure that out because I resisted the idea of having concrete pillars in my garden for a long time. I was trying to think of all sorts of other technology that I could use, but in the end, the concrete was the way to go.
Was that reinforced? Like, did you have any steel?
Rebar inside, yeah. I think it's 3 lots of rebar inside, and it's 4.5 feet down. But it is on a slope, so you know I did ask them to build a retaining wall at the base, you know, at the very front with rebar in as well. So hopefully it's stable, but you know, don't know.
Randy?
Hail.
Probably built it.
Randy?
Rewind your pictures back to the observatory inside.
Yeah. So it'll be this one, right?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh,
One.
that one. One more?
There. I'm
Oh.
very glad to see that you have multiple bungee cords. Those
Oh, yeah.
things are deadly. That's one of the leading causes of eye injuries in the world.
I know you said that on the site at the time.
Cautionary.
I remembered.
Do not stretch them.
Yeah. No, that's actually what I'm very careful after you sent that. Well, after you posted that.
That's
really am. I'm
that's a
so-
good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good point. This one's not so deadly, but these little ones. I mean, you could really gouge your eye out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And congratulations on the first year. So now I'm going to, John, can you unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and then you can start sharing and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Okay, I'm hoping this is it. Okay, so this is my all-star picture project. That's what I'm calling it. So I got my Seestar about a year ago, and right off the bat, I was amazed with like how quickly and easily I could capture my own pictures and really good images, things that I've only seen other people capture before. So instead of seeing other people's pictures and admiring them, I said, now I can collect my own. First of all, these are my folders for processing Seestar pictures. The new stuff goes in here right after Seestar, and I do a bit of deleting and cleaning up and renaming and reorganizing. And at that point, I put them in here, and this is where I do all my processing in that. And when I have a good final image, I put everything in here. So this is where all the, this is where all the final things are in here. So anyway, first when I got my Seestar, I was amazed with everything. And I went after all the usual popular objects like Helix Nebula, Owl Nebula, Veil Nebulas, and all the galaxies, all the clusters and so on like that. Sunspots, lunar phases, that type of thing. So then I decided I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try collecting images of stars, specifically the main named stars that I can see from around here. So to do this, I downloaded several star catalogs and I matched up all the star names and star designations. And I came up with my own list of stars that I use right here. Okay, so you can't see that. So I'm gonna have to jump around a bit. To do that, I got two. Okay, so I have to figure it out. So this is my list of stars that I downloaded and organized from all my star catalogs. The green ones are stars that I've captured already. The white ones are ones that I need to be captured. So I have 453 targets that I want to get all together. So I have them organized by constellation, because what I do is when the constellation is well placed for getting the images, I go after that constellation. And I have the SAO number because that was consistent again with all the star catalogs I downloaded. And within Sky Safari, I can search by SAO number, and I use Sky Safari a lot. And here I have the individual star names. So I have the way down here, like there's 453 of them, all the way down to. Anyways, 453 of them. So I control my Seestar with my iPad when I go outside capturing images. So now I'm gonna have to stop sharing again to go to a different view. Just one sec. So all that stuff you saw there now, I have copied down to folders on my iPad. So I have a folder for each constellation, and whether it's started or not, whether it's in progress, whether it's finished. Oh, I can't jump from picture to picture. Hold on. This thing here is blocking the controls. There's a control over here that
So, John, maybe if
yeah.
you I guess I'm speaking. Yeah, maybe if you
yeah, I might have to minimize it.
yeah, what I was going to say, if you share a screen rather than a window, that's what I do here.
All right, just this might work here now. Just one sec.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So this is the thing I wanted this here. So I have a folder for each constellation, how many stars are in each one, how many I have left to capture, whether it's in progress, finished, or whatever. And it goes all the way down to here. There's 52 of them all together. And within each one of these, I have this for each constellation. I have the constellation, the SAO number, the star name, and OK means the Seestar can find it just by the name. This means it can find it with the Greek designation. And there are some that it can't find at all. So what I have to do for those is I have to create a custom object within the Seestar. Here's ones for Leo, and here's one for Cancer. So what I do here is these are like a sort order kind of thing. Like I'll start out with TARF, then I go to this, then I go to this. That way, like I start low before the star goes below the horizon to make sure I can get them all. And as well, like to see a star is not moving around too much. I'm not jumping from one corner to the next, to the next, to the next. I'm just going close to close to close from each star to the next. So take this star here. I had to create a custom object for it because I couldn't find it with the star name or with any Greek designation. So I took the SAO, 98, whatever. I search for it in Sky Safari. And from there, I can get the right ascension and declination. So then I just create a custom object in my Seestar for this. And that's it right there. So now I have all the constellations and folders on my iPad. And the program, the custom ones are there, and the other ones I can find pretty easily. So of the 453 stars, I've collected 169 so far. So it might just seem like I'm collecting stars and points of light, but there's a lot more to the stars than that, and the backgrounds are really fascinating. There's lots of colors, like, oh yes, so these are some of the custom objects that I have. Like there's many, like this is Sagittarius, Hercules, Orion, this kind of thing here. So each star has its, and yes, this is where when I hit this here, it will center on a star really, really well. Like it goes right to the right ascension declination. Like it does a really good job with that. So some of the stars I've captured, like this is Hades and Saclotini in Auriga. Like there's nice color here. You get lots of nice background stars. Herschel's Garnet star, nice red star. This is Tarf within Cancer, and lots of stars. The stars in the background have lots of like patterns, like swirls and corkscrews. And this is Helvidius in Pegasus. Is a nice little heart shape here that I like. Just lots of stars with nebulosity around them, like Seestar in Cygnus up around here. And this is Near Al Safe in Orion. This is up in the corner of that. And Betelgeuse looks spectacular on its own. So my ultimate goal after all of this is to turn all these images into videos like this. Now I'm going to disconnect, reconnect again. This is a video I plan on doing with each of these. Like this is Delphinus. Like there's a few stars here, so. And I may turn these stars on their side so they fill up more of the screen. Like here, there's a lot of the screen is empty. If I put it on the side, like it fills up a lot more of the screen. And that's Delphinus. So that there's my, one second. So that's my All-Star Picture Project thing. And it'd probably take me a year to get that. So when I get all these done after that and get all my videos created, this kind of thing, I'll probably move on to the other objects that I've collected. So that's it. Maybe within a year or so, I'll have it all done. I'll have it all turned into videos. All the stars, 453 of them.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And John, when you've got it all done, you're going to be giving another talk.
Okay, I may actually put it on YouTube. Then, like I don't need to share like a lot of videos. I can just send the links to the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And there's some stars on my list here that they never get above the horizon. Like there's a few in Eridanus and Sagittarius that I never got above. So I haven't weeded them out yet. But so this may come down a little bit, but not much.
Cool. Randy?
Thank you. On the screen that he showed of the Seestar with the curve on the bottom,
Yeah.
that tells you when the star is above.
Yes, yeah. When it's well positioned in the sky, like at the peak and on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they're talking about was the curve shows when the star's above the horizon. Any other questions?
As an anecdote, I looked at the brightest comet list and it showed a G3, but it rises in the middle of the day and they still offer it as an option, even though it rises 1 degree above at noon, right?
Okay, well, that's your artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much, John.
Hey.
So I will go back to sharing Hey, there it is. Okay, we're back in business. Okay, so now Randy's gonna come down and talk about Wi-Fi eyepieces for electronically assisted astronomy and more. I guess you can hold those up in front of the camera when. And so recently there was some talk on the talk list about a new eyepiece that people were seeing coming soon, this kind of stuff, right? So I had already been looking at some eyepieces. So as John was just talking about the Seestar, Seestar is here on the left, is an all-in-one smart telescope, does it all for you, controlled by your tablet or phone, includes the star atlas. It's not equatorial mount yet, but has a camera, dew heater, all this sort of stuff. So it's all in one. But what about if you want to do use another scope, like a solar telescope? There's no smart solar telescope yet that I know of. So I've been looking for ways of doing the same sort of stuff with some other scopes. So what are the options we have? We can have a camera, you know, Canon or any type of DSLR or that kind of scope, and you replace the eyepiece with the attachment to go into it. Or you can get your typical imagers. There's I think that's a probably a 120, and cable out to your laptop or PC, and then you have access to that, right? But doesn't offer you much in the way of a live view unless you know your camera really has a good set of software in it. Most of them don't yet. So I come across these new items. SVBONY and Neewer, I think they, or Neewer, is it Neewer? Are coming out with these. These are just two. There are some cheap knockoffs of these. Just by where that's the SVBONY, and this is the Neewer. Show it for scale. That's the Wi-Fi antenna. I'll go through some of the options that they offer. As you can see on the picture on the left, it shows 4 people looking at an image of the moon from that eyepiece. And then on the other side, we have the Neewer, and they're intimating the same thing. You have a laptop or phone that's showing. So the SC311 has the IMX 662 sensor, which I believe is the same as in the new Seestar S30. So you can look up the specs on that. Has Wi-Fi to whatever device you're connecting it to. Allows you to put filters in the visual train, so you can do some IR filtering, this sorts of stuff. Has an integrated TF card, 32 gigabytes comes with it. So you can capture on the card as well as on your phone. Has a 4-hour battery built in. Of course, everything these days seems to have its own batteries, right? And that's the same picture again you can capture. One thing I like about the SC311, it has 2 modes, manual or automatic mode. So you have all your controls on the sides there. On the sun, you let it go with the defaults, and I find that gives a better picture. Unfortunately, with the weather we've had, I've only gotten these since Christmas, tied up with the strikes and the mail strike and all these other sorts. So I haven't really had much chance to do much imaging with it. One of the problems this time of year with the cold and the wind is getting back focus on the image and stuff. So you're out there freezing your deck, trying to lift and focus and everything. So anyhow, that's the price. I didn't pay that much for it. I think I must have got a sale. All these Chinese things are always having a sale every other day, right? So $175 US. There's the features, color sensor, Starvis 2 tech. So that is the same as the S30.
It's 2.4 Wi-Fi, 4 devices at one time, both Android and Apple. So you have everything covered there. It says 10-meter effective transmission. That's not all that far. And I've mentioned the, and you can cable it as well, right? So the other one is the Neewer, which I think is a better machine. They don't actually list what the chip is in it, but as you can see, what they're showing is some guy on the beach somewhere, I suppose, looking at the moon, the awful big moon, and just to show you that you put it on a spotting scope. Or,
Scope isn't pointed at the moon. If you look at the guy sitting.
yeah, well, he's waiting for it to get up there.
But he's looking at it in his phone.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's.
Come on, that's Photoshop, right?
It's not actually pointed at
Or the image on the right, of course, someone has it mounted on the scope itself, right? So you can see what you're presumably looking at. So again, there's the features of it. Has a TF card again, has a smaller Wi-Fi antenna, has a Type-C power cord, et cetera. All of these, of course, come with the ability to put Barlows and other filters on them. So if you want to reduce the size of the images and stuff. Oh, he's very tough to, anyhow. So sorry about that. This one has some interesting features. Besides photo and video mode, it also has a time-lapse mode. So you can do any number of frame rates that you want, number of shots. So you can do a bit of planning. Video mode, you can do like Mike does in his job, take a video and then hack them apart and do your stacking on them. So again, there's the features. I guess you can see that stuff, can you?
What's the resolution of the Neewer?
It's 5 megapixel.
5?
Yeah.
What's the maximum time recorder?
Does it show there? I can't read what it says there, so
166. Oh, that's the delay. So.
yeah. Delay time.
Oh, it says frame rate 24 to 60, I know.
Yeah, so. Yeah, 30 frames per second video, so it looks like it's 4K or almost 4K. And again, built-in battery, has the 1.25 inch thread. Only weighs 6.5 ounces, so that won't tax any of your scopes and stuff that you're trying it on. I'm anxious to use it on my Lunt. So not to be outdone, of course, this is what spurred some of this talk. People were seeing this Smart Eye, which I think first started being shown at the last NEAF, and is somehow sponsored by Sky Safari or whoever owns Sky Safari. The concept being that it's a smart Wi-Fi, but also you can watch the image developing while you're looking at it. Now, unlike looking through an eyepiece where you're actually seeing the photons, here you're looking at an enhanced resolution display inside the device. So it's sort of like that was an EV scope or Stellari, one of those. So you're not actually doing a live search. Now, for me, I don't know how that's much different from watching the picture develop on your phone from another eyepiece or from the Seestar, right? There are multiple. I just showed that they have their own YouTube page, and you can look at some of the stuff. This is not out yet. Will be out supposedly sometime later in the year. And I invite you to go check out their YouTube channel. Here's some of their sponsored stuff. But the thing that got me, it's
8 times.
that's big time money, right? So again, this has a card slot and this sort of things. So for that kind of money, you could get a Wi-Fi camera like Jim's got, I think.
No, but if you had to buy the phone,
Yeah,
if you had the smart eyepiece and you had to buy the iPhone to go with it,
Yeah.
then you'd be up to
Most people have a phone with it.
So,
for everybody who doesn't have a phone.
it's an evolving, sideline, I think. I don't know how far it's gonna go. Like I said, some people still want to look through the eyepiece. This gives you an option for, some remote access. And,
Probably a sign of the times.
Yeah.
I think this like this will integrate for you and show you what we would like to see.
Yeah.
Light pollution is not going to allow you to see.
Yeah.
There's more and more light pollution
Now,
everywhere.
at these price points, these are all both, a couple $100. I don't think you're gonna see any stacking built into them. So you're still gonna be tied to a PC or something to do your actual image processing. Again, at, a couple $100, you're not gonna see that. So we'll see, right?
Where's a good place to buy the Neewer imager?
The Neewer,
Yeah.
go onto their website. So Neewer.
Amazon, maybe Amazon.
It all ends up in China somewhere, so,
Okay.
I got it from, might actually been, if you've got an option to buy from Amazon, I would. Because you get a better guarantee than going through the Chinese websites. And, you can never tell, you pay for express shipping and that doesn't mean much most of the time, right?
Okay.
Ask me how I know. Anywho, any other questions? That's just a quick overview. If you go on to the Alibaba or any of those sites and search for smart Wi-Fi, you'll see lots of knockoffs of these for lots of prices, and the app might be in Chinese when you get it though, so beware, right? These apps, the apps that we're using for these are still developing. I think I've had 4 updates since Christmas on one of these. To me, the Neewer one looks to be a better imager.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. So we ready to go again? So, you can imagine that there were observations in the last month, but they're very tightly clustered around a couple of days. So there were a couple of solar images. So David Coffey, who I don't know if David's online. Oh, there's the everything moves around, too many screens. I don't see him. Okay, but the sun was very active in January, and John caught, and this must have been very close in time. You can see how the sun hasn't moved much at all there. So that was January 18th at 10:43, and February 8th I had a try at it, and I didn't get. There's a little bit of prominences down there with the Coronado. I can get prominences, but there's a little bit of fuzz down there, but I didn't see much with this one. And then we had lots of planetary imaging. So Cynthia did January 18th, Venus and Saturn were close together. So Cynthia got a shot with cell phone, and I did the same shot later on with DSLR. And people, that was one of those things that people were talking about on online. And then that was the same, like I said, things are clustered. So Chris did Venus that night, so a lovely shot of Venus. What's that?
Certainly great.
Yeah, and so you can see you can see the phases, the phase, and I did the same thing. 6 days later,
mostly inspired by Chris's shot.
Looks like the phasing is starting to, I guess, become more full. Is this-
Crescent.
Maybe the other way, because when we were looking at it, you were looking at it, in,
A smaller crescent.
yeah, so
As it
I,
gets closer, as it gets brighter in our sky, we get a smaller crescent.
yeah, so think it's
When
sort
it's
of,
full Venus, it's dimmer in the sky, so right
Yeah.
now it's small crescent.
Right down with the thing with the-
Going down
Yeah.
lower to the horizon as it gets closer.
No, it's high up in the sky.
Yep. and lots of pictures of Mars. So that's Certus Major there and the ice cap. So that was again January 18th. Beautiful picture from Chris.
That's nice.
That's,
Nicest image I've ever seen.
Calendar worthy.
yeah, that's pretty good. Very nice. And this is again the 18th, the 24th was clear, but I think Certus Major was somewhere else. There it is coming back in again this the next night. And then not much there. That's February 8th. And lots of people took pictures of Jupiter. We've already seen one of them. So this again was January 18th. So there's, I think actually that Io is right in around here.
Right on the edge of the red spot. Your picture and, well, you,
In there somewhere?
yeah, it's, for you, it's, I think, just a little left of the red spot.
Yeah. And that's the shadow of Io. And then Chris
Nice color.
did it there. Yours slight, yeah, Chris is a slightly later. And where is it, in here or over here?
Start at the red spot. Go straight up, there's a little white,
Oh, there it is there.
yeah, that's it.
Okay. And again, lovely image there of Jupiter,
Very sharp.
lots of detail. And then this is the same night, but later. Now it's Io's over here, right? And we've already seen this one. There's so this is similar in time because there's Io and there's Io over there. So this is the one that we saw from Tim and Sue. And then this was January 24th. And the shadow here, I think actually that one, I was a little confused about this one. I think that is Io. I think this is Europa, but it's much farther away, which is why the planet's not as close to the shadow. And yeah, that's Io there.
Which shadow was that?
I think it's the shadow of this one, and that's Europa. So even though that moon appears to be close to the disk, it's actually farther out. Yeah, more because it's a bigger orbit. And there's Io there. So this one wasn't so good. And then February 8th, there's Callisto and it's sort of a hint of Io somewhere, but or that's Io there. Callisto, I think, is right there, but you can't really see it. But I'm always happy whenever the great red spot's there. And then Chris got a lovely Saturn here. So I guess Saturn's getting too low for us to image now.
Yeah, that one night, the 18th, where everyone went out,
Yeah.
where it was clear. I started early because I was, down along to get Venus because I can't see Venus normally because my backyard can only see the southern sky and nothing at all looking west. Same for Saturn. Saturn was supposed to be close to Venus. So I noticed Saturn was close to Venus when I was getting Venus. Okay, I'll go down to get Saturn, but it was just above the roof. And even then, it's too low now.
So when are we gonna be exactly edge on the rings?
Sometime in March.
Okay. So it'll be well, no, we won't be able to get a shot by March. It'll be gone.
I have a friend, I showed this photograph to, and he said, oh, it's too bad the rings are so edge on. He said, and I think in the back of my mind, that's what's so special about it.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen often.
Once every, was it 17 years?
Yep. And so that was mine,
Yeah, 3 times there.
a little bit, about 6 days later. And Uranus.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Could have turned out better, but.
Impressive to see anything. And deep sky, the only thing anybody got a shot of this month was the Orion Nebula. We got several different views of that. We've already seen one of them. So I did so this one was actually with my, so I've got my little refractor, 80mm refractor, but I still had the Barlow on from doing the this is the same night, right? So I still had the Barlow on, which is extra 2 times magnification. So it was really set up for planets. But I tried M42 and did get the trapezium, so there are 4 stars in there. And this is David Coffey's with the Seestar. And then this is the one we saw. There's the trapezium even more pronounced. We saw this one in Kim and Sue's talk. And then I went back without the Barlow and used Cyril and StarNet so I could pull out the colors a little bit more. And I was really happy with the colors in that one. And then Jim, Jim, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want to say a little bit about this? Because that's a lovely wide field view.
Yeah, this is again, this is taken with a 300mm telephoto lens. No guiding, mounted on my 740 mount. So this is just a single frame with a full frame camera, which is not modified. So a little bit of problems with bad gradients in the background. So this is processed to de-emphasize that. So this gives you a sort of a view of the Orion's belt on the left-hand side, the Horsehead Nebula, the Flame Nebula around Alnitak, and then the lovely Orion Nebula up in the upper right corner there.
What was the filter?
I don't believe there's any filter. There was a question about a filter.
Oh, in the notes that came with it, I think you said Antly a tri-band. Filter. Maybe I got that wrong.
If I said that, then yeah, that's probably what it is then. So
yeah. So it's an unmodified camera, but you got a lot of nice red in there. That's
surprisingly, it got a fair bit of H alpha there. So, but from this experience, I think I'll continue to use my modified camera for these type of shots.
Anyways, very, very nice shot. Thanks a lot, Jim. And I think that was it for our deep sky observations, but this is another month, so. And so now, Robert, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can. Where'd that, okay, this came up over here somewhere. Let me see. Okay, Randy, can you see that on the, okay, so Robert, I can scroll through if you want to talk.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, this is our sky this month, and with all the usual features again. And there's the day-night cycle for today. You can see we have 10 hours, 35 minutes of daylight. So the balance in twilight and astronomical if you had a sky. And going forward, next slide.
Yeah, I'm just turning it down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so there's the sun. Today, if you could have gotten a view with a proper filter, with a couple of URLs there where you can go and have a look and see many other features on the sun than just the spots. And then our planet roundup for Wednesday, February 19th, the green indicating the possibility to be observable should we have the sky. So you can see there's quite a lot. And next slide, please. So there's the moon, February 19th. It is gibbous and heading towards new moon. Let's hope there's some dark sky that'll come along with that. And comets, I couldn't find much of any account at this point, so I didn't bother to put any there, but the links are there should you wish to go in and find those comets that are down 14th, 15th magnitude. Asteroids shown just 4, but again, the URL will show more than that. And the suggested objects for January in both binocular and telescopic for dark sky, and the challenge object for this month, should you be so inclined as to try and capture that. And then supernova, I tried to find some that might be of account, but yeah, there's no good page or resource that I've been able to find for supernova to get that data, like the name, the magnitude, the type, and the host galaxy for our sky. So that's why the crosses are there, because when I check them out, they're, not doable, except for the 25 GI or GJ, sorry, which is in 2986. And meteor showers next up would be the Lyrids in April, and then Aquarids in May. International Space Station visible passes. There's more than this, but that's a sampling.
So those are all mornings, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, early.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd have to be, really inspired, I think. Go out at 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's information you can read off of our website about how we go about observing sessions. And good luck with your observing and imaging.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, question from Chris.
So, but that's all.
And it sounded good, it sounded like you're
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll sort of just remind you again, our speaker next meeting is Bethany Downer from, she's working with the European Space Agency. She's going to tell us about the work they do and there's really quite a bit to it to end up with the images that you see, to actually do the selection and the preparation for the images that get published for sort of public consumption from Hubble and James Webb. And that's kind of what that story is about. RASC calendar submission and the end of March, so we'll talk about it again at the next meeting. There's going to be a partial solar eclipse and the astro imaging contest. It's getting to be time to send in your pictures. So thank you very much, everybody, and here and online. Anybody online have any comments or questions before we shut down the link? No. Okay, well, thanks everybody, and people at home, you'll have to take care of your own refreshments, but people that are here, we have decaf coffee and some treats. So thanks everybody for coming out.